when you set clear being the key word here, standards for yourself, you're creating this framework that guides your behavior and your decisions. And that's supported by the concept of cognitive dissonance, which we've talked about before. And that is when we experience discomfort, or one of the reasons you can is because you're experiencing discomfort because your actions are not aligned with your values and beliefs. And so your brain is kind of being pulled in two different ways. But you can fix all that by creating these non-negotiables. Welcome to Becoming Tantalum with me, Megan Bonnell. Discover your brightest self in a journey of transformation and resilience. Let's embark on this path together, starting now. Hey, my listeners. Welcome back to another episode of Becoming Tantalum, the podcast where we blend a little bit of raw truth and a dash of humor and a whole lot of scientific nerdiness to help you become the best version of yourself. This is where we turn dreams into actions and actions into success. And I'm your host and life coach, Megan Bonnell. And today, we're going to dive into a powerful concept of creating non-negotiables for yourself. This is actually one of my very favorite topics because I believe so strongly in having these solid rules that you created. So they're what you believe that you follow until they become automatic. So they're minimum standards, how you show up, the choices you make, who you are at your core. And it's all about defining who you want to be and setting those non-negotiables to living up to that. So buckle up because this episode is all about setting the bar high for you and living up to it. So let's start with the basics. What are non-negotiables? These are firm boundaries and standards that you set for yourself. So they define how you live your life regardless of the circumstances. Think of them kind of like your personal code of conduct. And this isn't about anyone else but you. Your personal standards for yourself 100% affect how you feel, what you achieve, and who you become. So this is really, truly only about you. So before we jump in, I want to ask you a few questions. Do you ever think about a future situation and think, or even say out loud, I have no idea what I'm going to do, or I have no idea how I would handle that? I think we've probably all been there in some way. Do you ever think, I have no idea what I would do here? I have no idea what to do here, right? In a specific situation that you're in at that moment. I think that we've all experienced that. Do you ever behave in a specific way, like a tone that you use or words that you use or an appointment or event that you canceled or chose not to be at or didn't give your all in, right? Maybe a chance you didn't take or a choice you didn't make, and look back and wish that you had done it differently? I think we can all relate to that. And last question, if I asked you to define yourself simply and clearly in like 5 words, what would you say? Do you already have that on lockdown, or do you need some time to think that through? Because the solution to all of those questions is in the power of non-negotiables. Non-negotiables allow you to stay true to who you are in any situation, any relationship, any struggle, through making any choice. But why do you think this is so important, right? Why is it that there's so much power in the idea of non-negotiables? Well, having clear standards, having clear boundaries just increases your self-discipline and consistency, which is obviously helpful in achieving your goals, right? So there was a study that I had read while I was preparing for this in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. Didn't even know that was a thing. So there were a bunch of individuals with super well-defined personal standards. And they, in that study, were far more likely to experience higher levels of self-esteem and overall life satisfaction. So what that's saying is that if you have these non-negotiables that you're living up to, you're more likely to have a higher self-esteem, to love yourself more, to have more confidence in life, and to feel more satisfaction and happiness in life. So bonus, loving that. But before we get to setting these non-negotiables, it's really crucial to define who you want to be. And notice that I said who you want to be, because it might not be who you are being at this moment. Who is your ideal self? And how do you act? How do you show up? How do you define or filter all of the choices that you make? That self-definition forms the foundation of your non-negotiables. Ralph Waldo Emerson, he reminds us of that when he says, the only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. So I really want you to think about that person that you want to be. The concept of this self-clarity has actually been studied a lot in psychology, and it indicates that having a clear understanding of who you are and who you want to be just enhances your ability to set and achieve those meaningful goals. So when you know your identity, right, who that person is, that definition of who that person is that you want to be, you can align your actions and your decisions with that identity. But that has to be clear. It's easy to follow rules, if you will, that are self-created with your vision of your ideal person, who is you, and your purpose in mind. Let's dive into some real life scenarios of where this has come into play in my life so that I can illustrate for you some of the powers of these non-negotiables. So, one, health and fitness. I have a non-negotiable that I work out at least 5 times a week. Notice I didn't say 5 days. Notice I didn't say every day. Notice I didn't say every weekday. I said 5 times. And here's the deal. It's important to me to be active and to move. I feel better. I behave better. I'm more confident. It's good for me, right? So I do remember, though, the moment when that whole fitness idea, and I recognized how important it was, changed. So a bit of backstory, and I actually talked about this a few episodes ago. I was not feeling good, had to lose weight, like was making all the excuses. And I had finally gotten into that gym, if you listen to that episode. And I loved it and lost the weight, was super dedicated. It was great. And then COVID hit and my gym shut down. But I was kind of already in that mode of like loving the movement, right? Loving the fitness. So I was determined, or I kind of thought I was determined to keep it going. And I love running. So I thought I would just run instead. But kids, man, like I can't run with all four of them, or at least not at the pace and getting the workout that I want to get in, right? And so I was at that time, like never without my kids or work enough to get in even a pretty short run. And so the gym was the perfect option because at the time I could just take them to the gym for my cute little hour class. They would kick my little butt and then I'd pick the kids up and they had fun playing with other kids. Like it was great. But now I didn't have that, right? Yay, COVID. So I had all of the excuses as to why I wasn't getting it done, why it wasn't going to work. And I was complaining probably for like the 154th time to my brother-in-law, who said, you have so many options. And I was kind of doubtful. And I was like, oh yeah, like what? And he listed a few, and some of them honestly wouldn't have been a good fit and would have cost me more than I was willing to give, not money wise, but in other ways in life. But one of them was an amazing response. He reminded me that I was no longer paying for the gym, right? Because COVID. And why didn't I just spend that money having my babysitter come 45 minutes early on the days that she was here and get a workout in before I started work, right? Like I didn't work before she got here. I was like, genius. Yeah. Like, why didn't I do that? So I did. So she came 45 minutes early and I would go kick my little butt on a run and then come back and I would stretch it out with my littles, which was hilarious most of the time. And I was back on track. But what that taught me is that when I really set it as a priority, as something that was just going to happen, as a non-negotiable, you find a way to make it happen. Right. And so from that moment on, I was like, I can make this happen. So if I couldn't go for a run for whatever reason, maybe I had a meeting in the morning, then I figured out a different way to make it happen on another day or later that day. Sometimes for me, that meant a quick run later, and I convinced my hubby to hang out with the kids for just a little bit, or a body weight workout, or maybe yoga before bed, or I got up early and did a Peloton workout before, not the bike. I'm not that cool, but like they have other workouts on their app, right? Maybe I did a Peloton workout before all the kids got up. But whatever it was, I made it happen. And I found a way to make sure that that happened 5 times a week. And again, remember, I didn't say 5 days a week. So like I go to the gym in the morning now. This is like fast forward a little bit. I go to the gym in the morning now and I play soccer at night on Mondays. Well, for me, that's 2 times. Now, sometimes I work out 6 or 7 times, but my minimum, my non-negotiable is 5 times a week that I work out. Once you get to a level where something is that important, you just make it happen. When it's a rule, you just follow it. So another example is work-life balance. It's really easy when you own your own business, when you have flexible time, to have family time and work time kind of bleed into each other. And I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan in any way, shape, or form. When I'm with my family, I want to be with my family. And when I'm working, I want to be dedicated to using my entire brain for work. So my non-negotiable is that work and family time do not overlap. So again, my schedule is pretty flexible. And so every day looks different. And I love that. But no matter what, whenever my day ends, and sometimes it's at noon, and sometimes I don't work that day, and sometimes it's at 6 o'clock at night, whenever my day ends, I'm done. There's no emails, there's no social media. I don't respond to clients. All of that can wait until I log back in the next time for work. And sometimes my work is split. Like I'll work in the morning and then I'll have a group coaching session at night, right? Totally fine. So I log out of work. I'm with my family. When I get back into my office, then I'm back totally to work. And when I'm done, then I'm totally done. So I make sure that my time is really efficient. The time that I spend with my kids, that I'm getting the most out of it, that my time is really efficient when I spend time at work. So I get done what I need to get done. But when I'm with my family, I'm with my family and there's no work. That's a non-negotiable. Personal development. I've learned, especially with what I do now, but I believed in that before, that we can constantly learn and grow and get better individually. And that's really, really important to me. And I found when I started this business, I kind of went away from that a little bit, which definitely didn't hurt my clients, but it didn't help them because I didn't have anything new to offer that I was learning and keeping up on. So I have this online coaching program where the members have access to live sessions and study guides and courses and all kinds of stuff. Well, it's just as important for me as a coach and them as a student to be getting new information and continue personal development. And hopefully it is for you, but as it is for me. So, what I made as a non negotiable is that I'm going to create one new course a month. Well, every time I create a course, I read and I study and I watch and I listen and I digest all the information that I can find on it. And then I put it to work in my life. I apply it. And then I create systems or guides or whatever I need, tools, so that it's easy for anyone to apply it to their life. And so now I make sure that there's one new concept that I'm reading on, that I'm studying, that I'm learning, that I'm applying, that then I'm creating those tools or those, whatever it happens to be, tools or courses or whatever for. And I put that into a brand new course every single month for my students. So it keeps me growing and it keeps the content that my students have access to growing as well. And then the last example, and I have more non-negotiables than this, but the last example is who I am. So my non-negotiable for that is I am always kind and respectful. So I think you can all relate to this. Having experiences with individuals that are perhaps less than pleasant, or just having experiences that are less than pleasant. It could be someone who isn't your favorite, maybe somebody that's even hurt you in the past, somebody that's really done something that really rocked your world, or it could be somebody who's acting in a way that's just kind of not desirable for you. But no matter the situation, no matter whom I'm around, no matter what is happening, my non-negotiable is that my actions are kind and respectful. So my tone is kind, my words are kind and respectful. Now, notice that I didn't say friendly or funny or loving, and I can also be all of those things too. That's like one of my favorite things, to be friendly and funny and loving. But what is important to me is, regardless of the situation, that I treat every other human with what I think all humans deserve, and that's to be treated with kindness and respect. Yes, no matter who you are. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to be honest or blunt. And it doesn't mean that I'm agreeing or that I'm giving in. And it doesn't mean that I'm fluffing your stuff with super nice words. It just means that I'm going to say what I need to say and do what I need to say with kindness and respect, period. Because that's who I want to be. I don't want to be rude or mean. I don't want to choose words or actions that are distasteful. I always want to be kind and respectful, non-negotiable. It's easy to do something like that when you set up that rule for yourself. No matter what I'm going to say, no matter what I'm going to do, I'm going to do it with kindness and respect. And so those are just a few non-negotiables that I've put into place in my life. And like I said, there's a lot more. And there's others, obviously, that other people have as well. But the important key here is that you are creating the non-negotiables for yourself. You get to decide what those are. So let's nerd out for a moment and look at the science behind non-negotiables in general. When you set clear being the key word here, standards for yourself, you're creating this framework that guides your behavior and your decisions. And that's supported by the concept of cognitive dissonance, which we've talked about before. And that is when we experience discomfort, or one of the reasons you can is because you're experiencing discomfort because your actions are not aligned with your values and beliefs. And so your brain is kind of being pulled in two different ways. But you can fix all that by creating these non-negotiables. It creates this framework that allows you to act, behave, talk, all the things, make decisions in a way that's in harmony with your actions and your values. There was a study that was done by Dr. Gail Matthews, and she's the psychology professor at Dominican University in California. She found that individuals who write down their goals and share them with a friend are significantly more likely to achieve them. Now, obviously, these aren't goals that we're talking about, but non-negotiables work the same way. If you write them down, you're committing them to yourself. Share that with somebody that's close to you and can help to hold you accountable, and you can hold yourself accountable too. So let's get practical on what that looks like in your life. So here's 3 things that you can do if you want to create your own non-negotiables to be that ideal person that you want to be. Number 1, get real clear on who your ideal self is. So reflect on that. Who do you want to be? What qualities, what behaviors, what values define that vision of that person? Who is it that you want to be? How do you want to act? What do you want to do? How do you want to speak? What kind of tones do you want to use? How do you want to make decisions? All of the things. So who is that person? Become very, very clear. The second, once you know who that person is clear in your mind, define your non-negotiables. So based on your ideal self, write down those non-negotiables. Be really specific and clear. Start with just a couple, I would suggest. And you can put those into place, right? Apply those to your life, and then you can always add more. So remember, I had a story for all my non-negotiables, but my non-negotiables are very simple. I work out 5 times a week. I'm always kind and respectful. I don't blend family and work, right? Very clear statements that are easy to follow, black and white. There's no confusion. So once you know who it is that you want to be, and then you create this list of non-negotiables, like I said, start with maybe 2, then commit and integrate those in your life. So commit to yourself that you're going to uphold those standards on a daily basis in your daily routine. Write them down, share them with someone you trust, remind yourself daily, put them on your mirror, whatever you got to do, so that you remember these are the 2 things for right now, right? You can add more that you are going to follow. And if you fall short, and you will on occasion, give yourself credit for being human. You're not perfect, but you can be committed to making these non-negotiables such strong rules that you follow so often that they just become automatic. It takes time, and it takes practice, and an honest look at yourself when they don't go right? Analyzing what went wrong and what you can do in the future. But make that commitment. And that's why I say start with 2. You don't need to upheave everything that you are right now. Just pick 2 that are getting you closer to that ideal person that you want to be. Aristotle reminds us that a habit is something that is going to be created by you doing something over and over, when he said that we are what we repeatedly do. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. So that's where the practice comes in, over and over and over. And that's it, you guys. Creating non-negotiables is about setting the bar for yourself. This is for you, and consistently showing up as the best version of you because you're following those rules. Remember that they're your personal standards, and they're non-negotiable for a reason. You set them as a non-negotiable for a reason. They define who you are, how you navigate the world. And they're not intended, just as a reminder, to allow yourself to compare or to judge others. These are just for you. What they're doing is they're allowing you to be the individual that you want to be, without exception, no matter the circumstance. Hopefully this was helpful for you. Thank you for tuning in to Becoming Tantalum. And if you found it helpful, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with somebody that you think could use a little boost in setting their own non-negotiables for their life. And until next time, keep raising your standards and living your best life. I'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me today. If you want to take all of these concepts and tools to a deeper level, apply them to your life, and watch the transformation happen, I would love for you to join the Tantalum tribe. That's a monthly membership where all of our community has access to live coaching, self-paced courses, guest coaches, podcast study guides, anonymous question boards, and more. You too can transform your life using the tools and strategies that we have with accountability built in from our community. I really hope that you join us at tantalumcoaching.com. That's TANTALUM coaching.com. Just click join the tribe. I can't wait to see you in there.
An Ironic Media production. Visit us at ironickmedia.com.